Greetings, my vintage Christmas lighting friends. Here I am again with another long video on how to regreen a naked bubble light tree. I am going to do my best to keep this video as short as humanly possible. And here I am talking about what I'm going to do. But I'm going to keep pausing every so often, get most of the work done, and then just come in and try to film the fastest portions that you need to see in greening a tree like this. This right here is a different kind of tree than all the other videos I've made. The other videos I've made have been with a triangular shaped cone that had the permanent branches instilled right on the cone. I kind of think that those are probably a lot easier to regreen than these are, because you have a lot of space here to fill all these empty blank spots and stuff. So anyway, I haven't done a video on what I call a spindle tree. I call this a spindle tree because it's got one main spindle running all the way up, and then all of these side branches here, like this one and this one and this one and this one, these are all all pushed onto that spindle, and then they're tack welded a little bit on the bottom so that it holds them in place. And as you can see, if you try to spin it, it won't spin. It won't spin around on the spindle, so it's been tack welded. The top one's been sort of just mounted in place with a wire that holds the top socket, which if you look, let me see if I can spin it around a little bit. You can see where the spindle comes up to here, and the wire goes down and inside the spindle, and it's got like a bend in it. So it kind of holds it tight. It kind of keeps it pretty tight in place, because that wire that's been shoved down in there, that heavy duty wire, has a curve in it like that, so that it really grabs in there when it goes down and kind of holds it still. Okay, next. The next thing I'm going to tell you about redoing a bubble light tree like this is, before you even start, you need to make sure all your electric is right. And that all your sockets look good, they look clean, they look like they're going to last another 100 years, because you don't want to have to green this and then ungreen it to fix some kind of a light socket problem. This tree is odd in that it is a C7 version, and I normally don't do much with C7, but this one was really unique in that it's 11 sockets, which I have never ever seen or heard. In all the NOMA catalogs, the glow light catalogs, nobody mentions an 11 light tree. If you know where one is, by all means, please let me know, because I would love to see it. Anyway, I digress, and I keep digressing, which is what makes these videos so darn long. Anyway, here we go. So make sure all your electric is good. Make sure all of your sockets are nicely scrunched down. Let me kind of show you if I can. Hold on one second. Let me get it a little bit closer. You can probably see here. Let's unplug this tree too, because I think that'll stop the glare from happening. You can see how these are held. It's just a strip of metal with a hole cut in it and a slot cut in it, so that it allows for these to go in there and really push down and lock into place. Let me see if I can push one out. There, you see how it just fell right out like that? And now you just push it down in, and it catches, and it holds pretty well into place. So you want to make sure that all of these are positioned nicely. You're probably going to knock them around when you're greening anyway, but at least this way, hopefully you'll get a good start on having them all positioned where they should be. Now, in this case, this tree frame is really rusted pretty bad. And I should probably sand it and spray paint it. I'm not doing that. I want to get this tree done and finished for the video. So if you're a person that doesn't like rust, then go ahead and sand it and paint it. Okay. And you know, you can paint the whole framework. You have to shield off the plastic base. Again, this tree You see where the spindle comes through? The spindle comes through right there, and then it's got a washer put on it right here, and that's tack welded, so it keeps it really good and sturdy. That's why these things have lasted 1,000 years. Sadly, the visca was the only thing that didn't last. The visca was the original green covering. Now, on to the greenery that I'm going to use. Every time I do this, every time I post it, everybody goes in and buys it all up, and it's all gone. So I'm going to post a new place. My last video, I said a company called Christmas Central sold really good garland, and they still do. Unfortunately, after the video got posted, they got cleaned out of all the 9 by 14 inch garland, and most of that is gone unless you want to buy a 50-foot length of garland. What I'm going to do is show you how to regreen this tree using a regular garland that you could just buy. You see this? It's all bundled up into a circle, and it's just regular garland. The reason I'm showing you this is because this stuff is about the only stuff that's available is this green garland. If you want to see this, you can see this. That's from the company. I forget what the company's name was. It's TMI Gifts. Okay, I'm going to hold this up, and when I post the video, what I will do is I'll try to put this in the comments down, not the comments, but in the actual video down at the bottom in a dialog box, so you'll be able to see it. But if this helps you and you can pause this long enough to, you know, write this down, you could go there and clean them out of all their garlands so they'll never have any more left. That's what people love. They like my suggestions, and then they follow them to the T. Anyway, all right, so you're asking, well, why am I using that kind of garland? Because it really doesn't appear that it would work really well. Right now, it is the only form of garland that we can actually get our hands on. Let me try to show you what we used to be able to get here, right here. We used to be able to get strands of what we call wired roping, like this, okay? Only the needles on it were much shorter. They were about a ½ an inch across to 3/4 of an inch across. Original visca, I don't know if I have a piece here. I think I do. Original visca, here's a piece of original visca right here, is essentially, oh gosh, it's got a hair on it. Get rid of that. Anyway, there we go. Is about 1 inch across from needle tip over here to needle tip over here on this side, okay? This, I hate to tell you, is 2 inches from needle tip here to needle tip here. Unfortunately, this is the only stuff that's really available. If you find rope garland, God forbid, that's 1 inch across, please let us know. We would love to know. Just tell us in the comments. I pay attention to all comments that come through, so don't think I don't. And we'll be sure to post that somehow, or I'll do a new video showing it anyway, or I'll add to this video and repost it. Anyway, here we are. So this is what I'm using. This came off of that big roll of 9-foot garland, and sadly you're going to have to learn how to unravel it. Okay, and that's going to be step 1, is to start prepping yourself to get a whole bunch of these. This garland that I bought, if you notice, was 9 by 10 inches. Okay, that means it's 9 foot long, okay, by 10 inches across from this tip to this tip. Okay, and I believe it also said that this garland had 240 tips, which is actually quite a lot. It's a pretty full garland at that point. So that's a really good garland to use. Unfortunately, it's really fluffy, so you may need a little less greenery on here. You may have to play with it. Who knows? I don't even know what this tree's going to look like done. When I get done this video, it might look like that, and we'll just have to undo it again. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to at least show you how to do this. Remember, you don't have to do everything I do exact. You can take my ideas and play with them and change them and maybe come up with another idea for this kind of greenery to use on this tree. If you look now and you put it out there, it doesn't look that bad. But when you fill it with a whole bunch of fluffy garland, it really is kind of hard. So now, let me get ready to start showing you how to get these strips of garland out of that garland. So hold on one second, I'm going to pause. Okay, so what I ended up doing was I took a 9-foot length of this garland. You see how it's just got branches? They're all cross branches. You see, here's your 10-inch cross branch right here. Okay, that's a cross branch, and it's wired into these 2 wires. You see them right there? These 2 wires, and it's just wrapped up. So what you're going to end up having to do is get a good strong pair of, I like lineman's pliers. I think they really work well, especially for this, because you're going to end up having to cut and give your tree a haircut anyway. So this might really work really well for you. Anyway, so what you do is you got to find the center row of wires. They're really tightly wound together, so you got to find them, and then you got to start working them apart. How does it go? I believe it goes counterclockwise to unwind. So you just start, if you see, I'm grabbing those 2 wires and I'm just twisting this, and I'm trying to get it apart. This one has 1 green wire that's got greenery on it, and then it's got a bare wire. And I'm hoping I'll be able to do this right. I should have gotten it started. Well, guess what? I do have it started. I have it started on the other end. So let me just do it on the other end, because I've already got that end started. So here's the other end. Here's the 1 center wire right here. It's got greenery wrapped on it. Boy, did that make this difficult. Okay, you can pull your branches back a little bit. You get ready for your next one, which is right here. And you just keep unwrapping counterclockwise. I'm pretty sure it's counterclockwise. And look, that just came right off. Just like that. So then you keep going backwards. Counterclockwise, counterclockwise. And you might want to prep your next one that's going to come up. You got to kind of figure out which one's the next one. It looks like it's this one. So we're going to keep going down until we finally get to it. And if you just keep winding this around, eventually it will let that loose. Anyway, so I hope you get the idea. I'm not going to spend hours doing this on the video, okay? You just got to keep unwinding. It looks like I over unwound. So there and there. See, I pulled it right out. It takes a while, and then you'll finally get the hang of it. And by the time you get the hang of it, well, you'll be done. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's counterclockwise. And I'll do one more, or at least I'll try. And you can feel when this one's getting a little loose. And there, it just pulls right out. So you see how it's unwinding, and your 2 wires are right there. You got the one with the... a better garland will have this with the greenery, because it helps hide the wires in the center. And then it's got the other wire, okay? I'm going to stop here at that point, because we got to get this video done in less than an hour and a half. That's what my last video was, and I want this video done sooner. So I think you get the idea. You do this, okay? You do this, and you gather these up, and you make a whole bunch of them, because guess what, folks? You're going to need a bunch of them. So hold on, I'm pausing again. So I'm back. So what you want to do is you're going to end up making one long rope garland, wired rope garland. You're going to make your own. Since we can't buy this stuff, this long wired rope garland anymore, we kind of have to make our own for these trees. Here comes probably the world's most boring part, but I'm going to try my hardest to get it done. Okay, so here, what you're going to do is you're going to crisscross 2 ends and twist tie them. Twist tie them, twist tie them. Then you're still going to have your X. You see one here and one here. You bend one down, you bend one down like that, and then pull while you're holding the tips. If you pull and you let go of the tips, it will unravel. But see, now that you've held them down, it makes it kind of nice, and you can fluff it up. Now watch, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take another one so you get the feel for this, and you make an X. See how I'm making an X right there? Or a Y, if you will, but that's more of an X. And you're going to twist tie maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times, whatever you feel like. And then you've got the 2 ends right here. You're going to fold them down to that center wire, okay, and hold them tight and crimp them really tight, and then pull both apart, and you can't get them to come apart. Now watch, when I pull now, it's really locked it into place, and that'll keep it as one long. You're going to have to make, I forget how many pieces I put together, but it's a lot. It's a lot of pieces. Look what I did. I made this entire long single rope garland now, all out of these pieces. Is it boring? Hell yeah. Yeah, it is. Now I can't even find the end of it. I'll do one more just for shits and giggles, and then we're going to get on with this video. So here we go. We're making an X, and then we're going to twist tie 1, 2, maybe 3. Okay, and then look, we're going to pinch them down real tight to that center wire. And if you don't feel comfortable, do another twist tie or 2. But remember, you want to bend backwards a little bit with this stuff. And then look at that. It's tight. Now, if I continue to pull with all my might, I will pull it apart. But remember, this tree is not going to get that kind of gusto pulling, so it's not going to need it. So look, you're going to make yourself up a big rope garland, okay? Big rope garland, all right? And because you're going to need it, because what's going to happen is you're now going to wrap all of these permanent branches, including the top light socket, down the center pole, okay, and then out to these branches, because you got to cover all these branches. A lot of people think they can just take that whole garland with all the branches on it and just run down it, and it kind of hides them a little bit. It really doesn't. So you want your tree to look professional and at least kind of like it was done originally. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pause again. Okay, so before I started, I'm back now. All right, before I started, what I did was I took that garland with all the branches on it. See how nice those branches are? This is really a good garland for the cheap price. It was $16.95, I think, is what it is. I think it's pretty cheap. I bought five 9-foot pieces of it. Anyway, I'm going to try something different, something that I've never done before. Because I've never done a spindle tree, I'm just doing what I think might help out a lot. I am going to take a piece of this, and what I did was I fluffed all the branches up. I fluffed them all up. You see how they're kind of like all pulled apart from each other and everything? But what I did was I pulled them away from the center wire. So the center wire, as you can see right now, is running down here, straight down here, with no branches going backwards. I'm going to install this right up here like this, on this side like this. Let's see if I could just sort of wrap a branch around to hold it in place. Yes. And then I'm going to go to the back side, of the tree, and I'm going to put another one. Now, I didn't cut the end off here, so maybe I better. You see that long end right there? That's that wound up double middle wire. Anyway, and I'm going to go, maybe I'll leave a little extra on just in case I need it. Okay, and again, I fluffed this up and tried to pull all of the branches more to the front so that the center wire is just the only thing along the back here. And I'm going to go directly behind that other one. Okay, and I'm going to hook it up here. And what I did was I cut 2 little pieces of green craft wire here. Just basic small thin craft wire. See it? It's kind of hard to see, but anyway. And I'm going to run it through here, and I am going to real quick just twist tie these 2 real tightly together so that they are tight up to the spindle. All right, to the spindle in the middle of the tree. And you could just push the spare wire down in, or you could get in there and cut it off if you want. And now I'm going to do the same thing somewhere closer down here. And in doing so, I'm going to pinch these in, okay? I'm going to pinch it in so it really gets close to that center, okay? And right here's a good spot to put my second wire that I've done. So here, we're going to put it through, and we're going to bring it around, and we're just going to twist tie this. There's a lot of twist tying going on when you do these stupid bubble light trees, I'll tell you. And then you can twist tie it really tight so it really pulls those wires in good and tight. If you want, you could get your, in fact, I might just need that. Hold on. My channels here to really get that going good and tight. So it's fairly tight. All right. Now we're done with that. Now you're going to wonder, well, where are you going to use that rope, single rope garland you got? Okay, well, here's where I'm going to use it. So you see right now I already have these branches sticking out that are almost like the extra branches that all trees have. And in fact, you might kind of want to go ahead and sort of fluff them out a little bit so they'll give you a good idea. So before I continue, I'm going to fluff these out. All right, so we're back yet one more time. Here we go. Now we're going to get ready to start finishing this tree off with that long wound up rope, single rope garland, as long as I can find the end of it. So here we are, we're going to find the end. Maybe I better move away so this part makes sense. I'll move a little bit further away. What you're going to do now is you're going to take this and wrap this entire tree. You're going to have to weave it into these branches that are sticking out, but in doing all of this, it's going to hide everything and hopefully give you the good shape of a tree. One thing I always suggest, even on my cone trees, is to make an L like that in your garland. Now here's where it's going to get really kind of wobbly and the tree's going to start wanting to shift all around. You put that L bracket, see, look, like this. Look, I'm taking it right in, and you're going to put it right there. And you're going to hold it tight to that center spindle, and you're going to wrap this around that top socket. This is where it gets real kind of tricky icky. And you're going to really wrap it good and tight, as tight as you humanly can. And then you're just going to start wrapping down. And you're just going to keep taking this around. This is where it's probably best to spin the tree. And you're going to wrap it inside of those permanent branches you just installed. And you're going to keep taking it around. Unfortunately, you see it keeps catching up on it. But hopefully I'll be able to get this to finally let go. And you're going to just keep wrapping it around. And while you're wrapping, pull it kind of tight, but not so tight you're going to pull your joints apart. You know, I just have to keep spinning this. I don't know if I'm doing it right or not because I've never done a spindle tree before. So you're going to have to be able to spin this tree and have a really good... so what you're going to do is you're going to wrap down till you get to the first permanent branches. So let me pause again while I am doing this wrap. And you remember, pull tight so it gets real tight on that spindle. And you can hopefully get away without using a lot of this long rope garland. Let me see if I can get down to the first branch and pause this while I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm down to this branch right here, this permanent branch. Now's when you're going to take and you're going to pull really tight and you're going to wrap that branch around and around. And then when you get out to the socket, you're going to somehow try to come around the socket. There's one of my joints that I made, but it looks like it's pretty good. And then you're going to go down and around and under it and go back in again. Unfortunately, this really gets wound up in the garland rope. But by the time you're done, if I can show it to you, you can see that this branch now is completely covered and it looks pretty good. And then you're just going to go back into the center again. If I can get this untangled from the tree, I should have, maybe I ought to take all the light bulbs out. I think it helps though having the light bulbs in. So now I've done that branch, and you're going to pull really tight, pull it tight so that it really makes sure that that branch is going to stay. And look, you're going to slide right over to the next one over here, to the next permanent socket right here. And now you're going to wrap that. I wish I could show you what I'm doing. See how I'm wrapping it, and I'm just going around and around and around, and now I'm getting to the socket where again I've got another one of my joints right here. But if you get your joints and it feels like they're opening up, all you do is just push those pointy parts down again, and you're pretty good. Now the other thing you might want to consider doing too, my rope garland's getting wound up, is again, I went around. See how I went around? Hold on. Around that socket. I'm going to go up high on the socket on the Bakelite part and come around again and go under it. Go under it so it actually hides the wiring too on the bottom. And then work your way back. Unfortunately, it's really raveling up this roping garland. It's got a knot in it now. I'm not sure why it's got a knot, but it does. So you know what? I'm going to pause this and get it right. There, so I've gotten around that socket. I've got the knot out of my rope garland, and what I did was I unwound it. So hopefully it'll make it a little easier. Now you're going to wrap it around back. And while you're doing this, you want to look at what you have left for these permanent branches. You want to make sure that you're going to have enough of them. If you don't like the idea, if let's say you feel that right here you need a branch, right here, then you can take one of your spare ones that you have, like this, because you're going to have spare ones of these. Always make sure you have a bunch of these spare ones. Look, and all you have to do is twist tie it on like this. Twist, 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 and when you wrap it back in tight, it'll place those branches in there right where you need them, okay? Or right where you might want to put them. Normally we wrap these trees and we add those branches in as we go, but I'm not doing that on this spindle tree because I don't think it's necessary, since I added all of these branches originally early on with the 2 long lengths that I cut. All right, so now I'm coming over to this one, and as you can see, that now there's a red and green wire showing right there. You see it? So I'm going to have to wrap this spindle a few times just to make sure that that gets hidden. I don't know where the darn whatchamacallit is. And again, this garland just wants to constantly catch. So you're going to have to weave it into these permanent branches that I probably never should have put on. And pull tight to make sure you're getting it all on tight so it's not going to unravel later on. You don't want it to unravel. And here I am. I'm still with that wire showing here. Maybe this will hide it now. So you see, you got to work how you wrap these trees so that it works to your advantage the way you want it. You got to look, you got to see what all you need to hide. You need to hide the spindle, you need to hide the sockets, you need to hide the wiring. So you just keep, you know, wrapping down the way I'm doing. I'm wrapping it down. And I'm finally down. I've covered that wire, and I'm down to the next permanent branch. So here we go. We're going to wrap that permanent branch. I have a feeling, guys, this is going to get easier as I move along. As I go further down, I think it's just going to be a lot easier. So you see how I'm just wrapping around to hide that permanent branch and to give it greenery. Now I've come around, and here we are at the Bakelite socket. I'm going around the top of the Bakelite socket. I'm going to go around the bottom of the Bakelite socket. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it up over and under the wiring. and then take it up and over and back into the center again, where I will then proceed to go across. You could keep wrapping if you want, but I'm not going to wrap. I'm just going to go ahead and run it straight across to the next permanent branch, which is here. And I'm going to wrap. I'm trying to do this fast so that this video isn't 3 hours long. Okay. And this one you have to wrap a little tighter because it looks like that wiring was showing, and we don't want that wiring showing, that red and green wire, because it really shows up. The green doesn't so much, but the red does. And then around the bottom of the Bakelite socket, and then up and over and down and under where the wiring is, and then come back up. You'll get the hang of this once you've done it once or twice. And then you take it into the center and wrap your center pole, and you're going to just keep wrapping your center pole till you get down to the next permanent branch. Here we are down to the next permanent branch. As you can see, the tree's really starting to take shape. So that's a good thing. And I'm wrapping the next permanent branch. When you get down near the bottom, that's where, if you want to add some branches in, you might want to do, because these down here are going to be a lot shorter than what original ones were. Although these do look like these come out almost to the sockets, which is kind of where original ones went. Anyway, so I'm wrapping this Bakelite socket here with a knot, of course, right there. Okay. Don't worry if you're getting too close to a light bulb, all right? Those needles are going to melt from the hot light bulbs anyway, and eventually they'll settle in, and they'll allow for you to have a nice little hole to put your bubble lights down into when you finally get around to actually using bubble lights. There, so I've wrapped it and I've hidden everything. I've got a joint there, but as you can see, I'm folding it down, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. Granted, it's not going to look the greatest because we don't have the right garland to use anymore. Stuff's impossible to find, that 3/4 inch rope garland. And unfortunately, with a bigger tree like these spindle trees, I have a feeling that this bushier stuff is actually going to end up giving us a much nicer bushy look. So now, before I go any further, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to play with this tree a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to position these wires, these like extra branches. Now, remember, you're wondering, well, look how bushy those are up at the top. Remember, you're going to come and give it a haircut with your wire cutters, and you're going to cut them so that they are at more close to the right size, where they're a little bit shorter, you see. Since this is tightly wound together, this garland, you don't have to worry about cutting it, because it's not going to unravel. It's always pretty much going to be there. So what you might want to do is look and see if you're going to need any additional branches as you go along. You might want to try to position these as you go. So I'm thinking, I don't think this tree's going to need additional branches, except for maybe down around here where I'm starting to get right now. So I'm going to go back to wrapping. I'm going to finish wrapping this tree. And if I need to add branches, I'll start the video back up and show you right down here. Okay, but for right now, you don't need to see me doing this. All right, so I am getting down near the bottom, and I do feel I'm going to need some longer ones. It doesn't matter if they're too long. I can cut them short. So as you see, I'm taking one of my 10-inch pieces, and I'm just going to twist tie it onto my roping garland. And I'm going to try to get it as tight as possible, because you want these branches to be positionable as you go later on. So you see now, look at that. I've added a nice long one. It's longer than a permanent branch. Here, if I can show you that permanent branch. And that way I can cut it if I need to. So remember, again, you can continue to add branches as you go, because you're going to have spare ones of these if you actually strip the entire tree down. So I'm going to do that and complete this, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I finally wrapped all the rest of the permanent branches. The tree's starting to really take shape now. The hardest part's going to be forming it and making it actually look better than it currently does. But at the bottom, I'm going to suggest for people who are particular about their trees. Sorry, all the drug pills are falling. The tree likes to grab everything. It wants to take drugs. Go figure. If I see it with a wine bottle, I know we're in trouble. Anyway, so you're coming to the end of your long rope garland, and I'm right here at the end. Here's the end of it right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around the last branch right here. Sorry, I'm losing everything now. And then take it around the bottom of the pole. It's hard to see now because it's so covered in greenery, but I'm going to take it in here, right up in here, and just wrap the bottom portion of that. And you know what? I'm just going to wrap it real tight, and maybe just kind of lightly twist tie it to another branch, and try to remember where it is that you did that. That way, if you decide, no, I'd rather redo this and see if I can't make it look a little better, you might be able to just rewrap it and redo it again. Now comes the time where you have to start forcing all the branches out, making them look better, and giving it a haircut. As much as I would love to show you this thing finished, I think maybe I'm just going to go ahead and end this video now, because you all know what a bubble light tree looks like. And you know what it's, supposed to look like anyway. So I don't want the video to be way too long like the last one. I'm not even sure how long this is. How far am I? I'm at 36 minutes from the looks of it. So I guess I could make it a little bit longer. All right, let me try to fluff this out and see if it needs extra branches. Now, remember, if you still have spare branches, believe it or not, I only have one left. You can, and let's say there's a hole here and you just don't like it. You could go in, look, and grab an existing branch maybe, like this one right here, and watch, just twist tie it to an existing branch, and twist it really good so it's going to stay on. And then there, you've added a new branch in, you don't like the length of it, boom, you cut it. Right there, done, finished. And it looks good. And, you can try to add some additional branches in. Let me see if I can give this bad boy a haircut and get it to look a little better. I think maybe I need more of these extra branches, so I may have to put more on. Let me see what I can do. And finally, the tree is done. I've given it a haircut. As you know, you have to go along and reset these branches because they've all been squished down. So I've gone ahead and pulled them back up into place. And then wherever they need to, I just cut them and make them a little shorter if they're a little too long. I think I might still need a few more of these loose branches down here in the bottom. My problem is I'm too critical of my own work, so if you think it needs it, you let me know in the comments if it needs more branches down here. I don't like these things to be too overly bushy since we're using so much of this thicker, heavier gauge garland stuff. So I like it being a little more sparse. It certainly sets off the bubble lights really nice. As you can see, I've got it filled now with bubble lights and looking good. I've got a beautiful John Campbell's star topper on the top. I've got some oil tubes made. These are original Paramount oil tubes. Got a Christopher Radko here. This is a Carney oil deluxe in that beautiful purple. If you can see it, it's really beautiful. Here, let me try to pull it closer so you can see how beautiful that is. That's really nice. Do I have any of John's oils on here? I don't think I do. I think I brought up all my original oils. That's an original Paramount oil. Anyway, so the tree looks good. Let's put it back in a distance. And hopefully you can see that it really does have the nice shape of a tree. This tree is taller, so it needs to be a little skinnier. It doesn't need to be fat and bushy, I don't think. I'm actually quite happy. I hope you like it. Like I said, the only thing you'll need to do is pull all of these flattened out branches out, because you flattened them when you were wrapping it with that long roping piece. You pull them out, get them positioned where they should be, and then you can give them a haircut with a nice pair of wire cutters. You don't need these lineman pliers, but I really like them. And then the other thing I noticed is I really wrapped each one of these permanent sockets real heavy, so a lot of greenery was sticking down finally into the socket holes, and I took a pair of scissors and I cut a lot of the needles away so that it left clear for the bubble lights to get down in there. Once you've burned some bubble lights in it, a lot of that vinyl stuff will kind of melt a little bit, and it'll formulate a really nice hole for you to screw a bubble light in anyway. So there you go. I think that's it. That's the end of this video. I can't think of anything else to tell you. Remember, you don't have to go buy the greenery that I showed you, which is this one here. You don't have to. You can go buy a 9-foot garland. One of the guys on my Facebook page, and don't forget, come check out my Facebook page. I'll put the link in it in the video so you can know where to come. But one of the guys on my Facebook page, he suggests that you use the cheapest of the cheapest, because it has less needles and they're hopefully a little bit shorter than these needles. And he claims it looks a lot better, and his trees do look beautiful. So you might want to think about getting a $4 piece of garland. Now remember, this took one 9-foot garland, and all I have left over are these few long pieces, which I'm going to probably insert in here somewhere as time goes on. But if you're going to do a taller tree like a 21, don't try to be skimpy and just do it with one 9-foot garland. Get 2 of them at least. If you get them really cheap, like I've seen that cheap garland for as cheap as $9 and $5 even for a strand. Just remember, don't buy one cheap one from one place for $5 and another cheap one from another place, because the two won't match up greenery wise. They'll look different. One may be like, this one's kind of two-tone. You might get one that's all one-tone and another one that's two-tone, and the two will look awful mixed together. If you're going to buy 2 for a large tree, get 2 of the same company, okay? That way it all comes from the same dye batch and looks good. Aside from that, I can't think of anything else to add. If I do, I'll add note cards at the end for additional notes. Anyway, I think the tree looks good. I'm actually very happy with it. And hopefully you do too. Take care and good luck regreening these trees. Come to my Facebook page and show us what you've done. We want to see it.